Hello everyone, TAC1421 here. Welcome back to the second round of my Pokemon TCG online tournament. We are playing with this Team Plasma Sharpedo deck with Deoxys and Sharpedo as the main attackers. Sharpedo is kind of the main focus of the deck. And if you missed part one, we showed the deck breakdown, the deck list, as well as round one of the tournament. So go ahead and check that one out. We have a pretty long game in this one. It was about 15 minutes or so for this second game of the tournament. It did take quite some time. It will all make sense why it took quite a while, but you see we mulligan twice. As I mentioned in the very first episode, very first part, you mulligan quite frequently with this deck just because you're only playing 8 basic Pokemon. Some decks play, you know, 5 to 8, 5 to 10, but this one, it just seems like you mulligan more often than not. So we are going to play the Water Energy down. We're going to play the Rocky Helmet. We don't have a supporter for turn. We can get a Sharpedo into play next turn, which is nice. And we could potentially win if my opponent doesn't play down any other Pokemon. We see a Crushing Hammer. It unfortunately gets head, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for ourselves to get a Sharpedo up and going next turn. My opponent is resistant to Psychic, which I kind of have to keep in mind. And they are going to play a Steven, which gets them a supporter and a basic energy. It might be any energy. I'm not really sure what Steven does, but you see there they confuse us. That's the attack, and I mess up right here. It could have been a really quick game if I didn't misplay this. What I should have done is play the Team Plasma Ball first. I play the Colress Machine first, and then I'd realize off the bat that hey, we can't actually attach a Team Plasma or a Colress Energy, a Plasma Energy to a Carvanha. So in the end, I don't really want to risk it. I ended up getting the Water Energy, but we don't get a laser. If we would have got a laser there, we could have also won, but you know, it just wasn't meant to be. We Helix Force for 40 because of the resistance on the Steel Pokemon there, and because we don't have the laser, we cannot attack and kill them. And my opponent does have the Pokemon Fan Club, the Full Art Pokemon Fan Club, which looks pretty cool. So they are going to get 2 basic Pokemon, put them on their bench most likely, and they kind of dodge a bullet there. If we would have played things a little bit differently, if we would have drawn a little bit differently, we could have won that very first turn, but the round's going to end up being about 13 minutes more than it needed to be, but it is what it is. We also don't really have any supporters with us, and my opponent took a while to decide what 2 Pokemon to get. The Aegislash is definitely a good option because I have a Plasma Energy on my Deoxys, and it makes it pretty hard for me to attack this Aegislash. We're going to have to attack it with a Sharpedo that doesn't have a special energy on it. So I am confused at this point, which kind of stinks. I'm just going to go for the Helix Force because, I mean, 30 damage is not going to really matter too much in the end. And we end up actually getting the head, so we knock out that Steel-type Pokemon, whatever it is. And my opponent, thanks to the whatever that thing is that you can get a if on the top of your deck, if there's an energy, you attach it to your Pokemon. It's not used very often, but they got it. We're going to put a Floatstone on my Deoxys here, and then Skyla for a Rock Guard. Attach the Rock Guards to our Sharpedo, and then we might Ultra Ball. We might hold off on an Ultra Ball. It would be very nice to get another Carvanha into play, but I think I'm going to hold off for now. We might end up needing that Plasma Energy, so don't want to get rid of it yet. And now we are just going to use our Hard Bite for, we get a head, so it's going to do 80 damage, which is quite nice. Quite nice indeed. If we can manage to get a laser next turn, we can potentially knock out this Aegislash. They are going to knock us out here, I believe, because but they're going to be left with with only 1 damage left, which kind of stinks because the Rock Guard is going to do 6 damage counters to them, and my Rough Skin ability is going to do 2 more. So they have 90 left right now. The combination of my rock guard and my rough skin is going to do 80 to them. So they're left with 1 damage counter left on them, 10 HP, which definitely stinks. And we can't kill them, so we can't attack them with a Deoxys because we have a special energy attached to us. So I'm just going to promote my Deoxys with the float stone there. Unfortunately, we don't really have any way of killing this thing right now, so I'm going to have to put another Deoxys. I'm checking right now. I thought the Rock Guard did 8 damage. It only does 6, so I was a little disappointed. But we are going to put another Deoxys into play, and we might go ahead and Lysandra up the other Pokemon on the bench there, just because, so we don't die. They can still retreat next turn, but we might save it. It can really go either way. We are going to Lysandra up this Diggersby though, and we can hit it with a Helix Force for 60 damage, leaving them with 40 left. And right now I'm trying to top deck either a supporter, a laser, anything would be really nice, but we can't kill this Aegislash quite yet. And Diggersby is going to hit us for, I think it's 40 damage or so. They actually end up retreating though, so they can knock us out, which isn't a bad play. Pretty smart, just to ensure the knockout, start killing these things. We can't really attack them, so it's going to take us 2 turns to attack. Luckily enough, we get ourselves a N, so I'm going to attach the Plasma Energy and then N. We do get the laser, which is fantastic. Doesn't matter if we get heads or not. We put another Carvanha onto our bench, and the laser is going to do the rest of the work there, which is very nice. We have a plasma, or not a plasma. We have a, well, we also have a Plasma Energy, but we have a Psychic Energy in our hand, so we can attach that next turn. Potentially do about 30 to 60 damage, however many energies they put on their Pokemon. We also have the Juniper, so that's really nice there. We could also Lysandra. We could Versus Seeker for Lysandra if we really wanted to. But they are going to use, I think that's Call for Family on the Skarmory. Call for Family is a pretty common attack. You see it all the time, and it's on a lot of different basic Pokemon out there. Skarmory being one of those Pokemon. Essentially, you get 2 basic Pokemon from your deck, put them onto your bench, and they chose another Skarmory as well as another Steel-type Pokemon. We get ourselves a Sharpedo, and the best play right here is probably just to go ahead and Juniper our hand away. We have a lot of energy, which is great. We're not going to be able to knock out the Skarmory quite yet, but we do a good amount of damage to it nonetheless. And yes, things are looking pretty good. So they are going to attach a Steel Energy to their Steel Pokemon. I don't know what the name of that Pokemon is. It evolves into Aegislash eventually, but I don't know what the basic form is. I don't really know too much about that particular evolution chain, but they are going to confuse us, which is fine with me. I can just retreat and don't really have to worry about it too much. We can risk attacking, but we're not going to get the KO regardless, so there's not really too much of a point there. They can't really hit us with any damage, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to retreat into my Sharpedo, and then we'll just kill him next turn. So that's the play at hand. And then I'm debating on whether to Versus Seeker for something, Ultra Ball for something, or just pass my turn. I think the best play is just to pass and then attach an energy next turn. So that's what we're going to do. And we'll see if they confuse us, if they switch, if they put any energy. There's a lot of different things they can do, but we definitely have the upper hand here. We have basically 2 Pokemon that are ready to go, ready to do some damage. We're going to Ultra Ball, the Versus Seeker, and the Carvanha to get our last Sharpedo in our deck, and then we're going to retreat into the Deoxys, attach a Psychic Energy to our other Deoxys, and then we're going to Helix Force for 40 damage because of the resistance. So then next turn we can knock out this Pokemon, this active Pokemon, and just kind of go from there. They can retreat. That's definitely a possibility, but I don't want any damage on me. I see their strategy. They want to try to put damage on myself to confuse us, and then hopefully their goal is to make us confused, and then we deal damage to ourselves by being confused. But I can just easily just retreat and dish out some damage that way. Next turn, we can put on the water energy onto our Sharpedo, Juniper away our hand, or we might not Juniper though, because we can save that plasma energy for the next turn. My opponent's taking quite a long time to decide what to do. You can see they only have 6 minutes left, 6.5 minutes left to go. And after all this thinking, they just decide to confuse me. I'm going to attach the water energy. I'm going to retreat into my Sharpedo, and then we're going to hard bite for the knockout. And now we only need 2 more prizes left, which is fantastic. We draw an N off our supporter. Probably not going to use an N though. Most likely next turn just going to attach the plasma energy and Juniper away for a fresh hand of 7. My opponent is going to go into their Skarmory. They can only do 30 damage to them, and this is the second time this game they use that trainer card and actually managed to get an energy attachment from it. They're deciding where to put the energy. Ultimately, they put it onto their Skarmory X, which makes sense. And now they can attach another energy somewhere else. They ultimately choose to put it onto their Skarmory, a regular old Skarmory on the bench. And then they take it back and put it somewhere else, I guess, maybe. Yes, they put it onto their Diggersby. I still don't really know what Diggersby does, but he is going to play a escape rope there, and I'm just going to go into my other Sharpedo, because why not? And they are going to play an N, fine by me. I get a Hypnotoxic Laser, which is great, and then they're just going to pass. So they have only 40 damage left remaining. I'm going to play an N, then I'm going to retreat into my Sharpedo, get the knockout, and things are looking pretty darn good. I'm going to get a Deoxys from my prize. We only have 1 prize remaining, and they're probably going to have to be forced to put out their Skarmory X at this point and just attack and kill me. I think they were hoping that I would put out another Pokemon, but I chose a Sharpedo. It has free retreat. I have no reason to put up any of my other Pokemon. And now they're going to most likely attack me for about 80 damage. I think it's 80 plus. I'm not really actually sure how much damage it does. I think it's enough to knock me out, though. They are going to end me down to 1 measly card. Luckily, it's a Juniper, which is or not a Juniper, a Laser, which is kind of nice. I have a lot of good cards left in my deck. They are going to only do 80 damage to me. I'm going to attach the Plasma Energy to my Deoxys. I'm going to Laser, and then we'll most likely retreat into this Deoxys on the bench. And we can do 100 damage, and the Laser is going to put them up to 150. And if they stay in the active, they're going to die from the poison. So, looking pretty good. We can kill the Diggersby if they put the Diggersby into play. The Bisharp might be a little bit more difficult to kill, and I'm not really sure how much HP the Bisharp has, but we don't really see it too often. And yeah, they can't. There's no way for them to take, to my knowledge, there's no way for them to take 3 prizes in 1 turn. So if they stay in, they lose. If they retreat into the Diggersby, next turn they're going to lose. A Bisharp might be their really only play here, but they are going to go into the Diggersby, and I'm not really sure what Diggersby does. They're going to attach another energy to Skarmory X, and they're going to do 30 damage, and they get Tails, so they don't discard an energy. And we're just going to retreat into the Sharpedo, attack with the Sharpedo, hard bite, get Tails, does 70 damage. They say GG. I was trying to say GG, it wouldn't really let me. Finally I do. And yeah, the Wheel of Fortune was pretty good there. I didn't really get to see how much gold we got, but I think it was pretty good. We got 25 from the bonus wheel, so it's pretty cool. We did 690 damage to their 410. Took all 6 prizes. Biggest attack was 100. And we flipped 4 heads and 3 tails. MVP of the game was Sharpedo. You saw there we drew 61 cards, which is pretty good. And yeah, that's the game. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was a pretty long one. It was longer than it really had to be, but hopefully it was still entertaining nonetheless for everyone watching. And we're going to the final round against this Zero guy. So if you want to see that, go ahead and click on the next video whenever it comes out. It might already be out. You can check the descriptions and all that. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see everyone next time. Peace.